Hi, I'm Jay Fallon, and thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. So, today we're going to have a look at one of the most consequential shifts in Australian criminal law in years, the move from intent based hate speech offences to impact based ones. So, this isn't just a technical tweak, it changes who can be prosecuted, what counts as criminal speech, and how everyday online expression might be interpreted under the law. Let's go.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
So you've got what the old world was, intent was everything. For decades, Australia's federal hate speech framework was built around a simple idea. You had to mean it. If prosecutors wanted to charge someone, they had to prove the person intended to incite violence, not that someone felt offended, but that the speaker wanted violence to occur or knew it was likely. That's a high bar, and intentionally so. Criminal law traditionally punishes deliberate wrongdoing, but the new legislation changes that. Under the new federal offence, the threshold drops dramatically. Now it's a crime to publicly incite or promote hatred toward a group based on race, colour, national origin, or ethnic origin. The maximum penalty is 5 years in prison. But the real shift isn't the penalty, it's the mental element, or rather, the lack of one. The law no longer asks, what did the speaker intend? Instead, it asks, what would a reasonable person in the targeted group feel? That's a profound change. So we've got to unpack the reasonable person test a little. The new standard is based on whether a hypothetical reasonable member of the targeted group would feel intimidated, threatened, or hated, not the speaker's mindset, the speaker's motive, the speaker's awareness, but the impact of the speech viewed objectively. This is a familiar test in civil anti-vilification law, but applying it to criminal offences is a major escalation. So the shift raises several big questions. You've got to look at what happens to heated political debate. Political speech is often sharp, emotional, confrontational. Under an impact based standard, the line between strong criticism and promoting hatred becomes harder to predict. You also have to look at what about comedy, satire, or academic discussion. Context always matters, but context is also subjective. A joke in a comedy club might be fine, but you might take the same joke, clip it, and post it online, and it might not be. Then you've got to look at what about online frustration. We've seen that over the last couple of years. There was plenty of that going on while the dreaded flu was going around. You know, a late night rant. We remember people getting on late at night ranting about the behaviors of different people. So you might have a late night rant, a sarcastic comment, or a poorly phrased post could be interpreted very differently by different audiences. You'd have to ask yourself, is this going to create a chilling effect? When I say that, I mean people don't know, or when people don't know where the line is, they tend to stay far away from it. That's the classic chilling effect. You have self censorship driven by legal uncertainty. So let's look at how courts will likely approach it. Courts won't treat this like a feelings based offence. They'll apply structured reasoning, or at least they should. So they'll look at context, tone, audience, platform, whether the speech was political, artistic, comedic, or academic. They won't consider, or at least they shouldn't be considering, the reactions of unusually sensitive individuals, the speaker's personal intent, unless the statute requires it. Still, the shift from intent to impact means more speech falls within the zone of potential criminality. Australia isn't alone in wrestling with this. Canada usually requires intent or knowledge. The UK often requires intent or recklessness. Germany criminalizes certain forms of hate speech without requiring intent, but the categories are narrower and historically specific. So Australia's new approach is unusual, but it applies an impact based standard to a broad category of hatred, not just historically defined harms. So the bottom line is this is one of the most significant shifts in Australia's speech law in decades. The new offence lowers the threshold from violence to hatred, removes the need to prove intent, relies on an impact based reasonable person test, applies to online speech, including posts, comments, and videos, which I think is probably going to be one of the most problematic areas of this new piece of legislation. Supporters say this is necessary to combat rising hate and extremism. Critics warn it risks overreach and could chill legitimate debate. That's where I think it's going. Both sides agree on one thing: this is a major change, and its real world impact will depend on how prosecutors and courts choose to apply it, which is where I believe we are going to get into some real trouble in the very near future, given the attitude and the, let's say, the beliefs of some of our politicians and judges and people within law enforcement. Anyway, this is just my update for you, all my opinion, that last little bit. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope. My name is Jay Fallon.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna